Part 1.
What a load of old rubbish. You hated it too, didn't you, Mum?
Well, I have seen better films. I mean, it wasn't as good as Aliens or that werewolf film, you know the one.
Oh, come on. Some bits were brilliant. What about the scene where the accountant is...
Well, you always like these mindless special effects movies. I mean, where was the acting?
The dinosaurs were good. The last film I saw with dinosaurs, you could see they were made of rubber, but these ones looked real. It's amazing.
It's all done with computer graphics. I will say they look much better on the big screen than they did on my mate's pirate video. But at least I could smoke at my mate's house.
Well, if everyone was smoking in the cinema, you wouldn't be able to see the picture, would you? Anyway, that's one movie I won't be bothering to take out on video.
You just didn't like it because you were frightened.
No, I wasn't. What are you talking about?
I saw you covering your eyes.
I wasn't covering my eyes. I was laughing.
Well, I couldn't look sometimes. I mean, it was only a PG film, but some of the scenes were, well, pretty.
You mean hilarious? Well, at least it wasn't too long. Look, it's only 10:15.
Oh, yes. 10 minutes till last orders. Why don't we go for a quick one at the King's Head?
Adrian can't. Don't you remember? He's driving.
Don't worry. I'll have a fruit juice and I can drive us home.
That's very kind of you, Mrs. Turner, but I'm afraid you're not insured to drive my car, and if the police stopped us, we'd both be in trouble.
Part 2.
Why do perfectly sane, normal people pay up to £1,000 a week to make themselves sick? Jane Seaworthy has been finding out.
Well, actually, the people attending the Thorndale Clinic, situated on the outskirts of Bristol, all have a problem, and it's a problem that has become increasingly common in the last 2 decades, that of addiction. There are over 50 addiction clinics operating in the United Kingdom. But what makes Thorndale so special is a new kind of treatment that they have been applying with remarkable success. The new system being used here is called aversion therapy, although the idea itself is not new. And of all the clinics treating addicts of various kinds worldwide, the Thorndale Clinic has the highest success rate in treating abusers of alcohol and tobacco. Addicts attending a 10-day course of treatment live, eat and sleep in the same building, and unlike other systems, are encouraged to indulge in their addiction. Instead of treating subjects with drugs that reduce their dependence, this course sets out to induce in its patients a strong feeling of disgust directed towards the object of their addiction. For example, a 1-hour treatment session for smokers involves smoking rapidly without stopping well beyond the point where they want no more. In fact, they are not allowed to stop smoking until they have been physically sick. As you can imagine, this is not a pleasant process. It has to be repeated 3 times a day for the entire 10-day period in order that the subjects develop a strong enough hatred for their earlier addiction. Unfortunately, many people find the course too painful to complete, and those who do give up early are not considered cured, as they will most likely return to their former habit. On the other hand, smokers who keep going to the end of the course are most unlikely to want a cigarette again. The treatment for alcoholism has to be somewhat different, mainly because alcohol abuse involves loss of memory. This problem is overcome in a simple way. A group of patients are encouraged to drink excessively in the setting of a bar. During this stage, they are carefully monitored by trained personnel. Their behaviour is also recorded on videocassette, and the following day they are shown their drunken performance from the night before. Nearly all subjects feel great embarrassment when faced with these forgotten scenes of uncontrolled drunkenness. Usually, a 10-day course of treatment is all that is required to shift a patient's emotional attitude to drinking.
Part 3.
I'm fed up with staying in nearly every night. Since John and I broke up, life has been really boring. How about you two? How's your love life these days? Mark, you're grinning. You must be happy.
Well, actually, yes. I've just met someone really nice. She started working in the office a fortnight ago, and we liked each other straight away.
Well, well, that's why you're never home these days when I phone you. Are you actually going out with her then?
Yes, I am.
So, how many times have you been out?
Quite a few.
Why are you so embarrassed?
Well, actually, we've been out nearly every evening since that first day.
Every evening?
Anyway, enough of my personal life. What about you, Dave? How's Sue?
Oh, she's fine. We're trying to decide where to go on holiday this summer.
Maybe on honeymoon.
No way! I'm far too young to think about wedding bells yet.
But you've been together for years.
I know. I'm not saying we won't get married, but not yet.
Well, I'm going on a girls' night out this Saturday. We thought we'd go to that new disco in town.
I've been there. It's okay, but very crowded and smoky, and I had to leave early because the smoke was making my asthma bad. I could hardly breathe and felt terrible the next day.
You should really try alternative medicine for that, Mark. Homeopathy really helped my cousin with his asthma.
Talking of cousins, Mark, is your handsome cousin still young, free and single?
Yes, he is actually. But I thought you were still suffering from a broken heart.
Well, the best cure for a broken heart is a new romance.
I'll see if I can arrange for him to be at the Christmas party, and then you can casually chat him up.
Oh, thanks, Mark.
Part 4.
There is no escaping the fact that the media has become one of the most powerful influences in our lives. TV, radio and newspapers are the three main forms of media that we have daily contact with. Because of their importance, it is inevitable that controversy will often go hand in hand with such a powerful force. The media is not always used wisely or responsibly and is often a source of gossip, scandal or propaganda. Politicians use it in their political campaigns in order to gain support. Entertainers and celebrities use it to promote themselves and keep themselves in the public eye. This is, of course, to their advantage, but on the other hand, they are also open to the disadvantages of publicity. Private lives are brought out into the open, and the word private no longer suits the situation. Celebrities find themselves being followed and photographed at all times of day or night and in the most personal situations. A survey has been carried out asking people what they thought of this invasion of privacy, and a massive 85% thought that celebrities were asking for it. 11% believed they were still entitled to their privacy, and 4% had no opinion either way. The survey also asked which form of media people felt they were most influenced by. Over 2/3 of the people asked said TV rather than radio or newspapers. This then leads us to the question of how reliable the information that we get from TV is. The belief that if we can see through images what is happening, we cannot be tricked or lied to, is a fallacy. Carefully chosen or edited images can deceive us more than words. It is in fact the images that are not shown which often speak the truth. Some channels have even been accused of showing scenes that were not actually from the place being reported about. This kind of false information turns fact into fiction, but how is the viewer meant to distinguish between the two? That is the problem. Radio and newspapers, on the other hand, rely on words to get their story across, and if they intentionally lie, they run the risk of being taken to court later. This of course happens regularly, particularly when a celebrity is involved. One rock singer was recently awarded £1 million when a tabloid paper said he was a homosexual. Sometimes the papers are lucky and get away with making a public apology and withdrawing what they had previously said about somebody. A distinction has to be made between newspapers though, as they do tend to fall into two groups, the tabloids and the so-called quality newspapers. The question is though, can we really trust anybody to tell us the facts objectively?